guys, so we have a big breaking news coming out. US Special Forces arrived in Mexico to train Marines as Donald Sheinbaum deal takes shape. Now, the reason why this is happening, well, this comes after Donald and Mexico president struck a deal to avoid 25% tariffs on Mexican exports in exchange for a crackdown on drug cartels flooding to the U.S. I want to play this video really quick here, guys. They are getting ready.
Brain.
Alright, so that's where we at. So, U.S. soldiers in Mexico. Alright, so let me pull up this information. Let me just read this really quick, and I have the next one I want to show you. But U.S. Army 7th Special Forces Group, Green Beret, is landing in Mexico fully armed to train the Mexican Navy's Marine infantry in advanced combat tactics. The mission, approved unanimously by the Mexican Senate, runs from February 17 to March 30th. Give me a second here, guys. At a naval facility in Campeche. Once again, this comes after Donald and Mexico president struck a deal to avoid 25% tariff on Mexican export in exchange for a crackdown on the gangs flooding to our sleeping giant. Alright, so I do believe something big is about to go down pretty soon, guys. Alright, so once again, the Mexican Senate has approved the entry of U.S. Special Forces into Mexico starting this week. Alright. The plan is for the Army's 7th Special Forces Group to train Mexican soldiers on conventional and non-conventional types of combat. It says here, I bet Mexico fails, then the U.S. will take matters into its own hand. The gangs are screwed. Alright, so we're going to see what's going on here. I do have the full article. But once again, guys, we need to pray for our sleeping giant soldiers. Believe it or not, this area here, it's packed. I mean, packed with military. Alright, so they got the barriers. They got soldiers on the other side. And this means they're about to go in pretty soon. They're about to go in, sleeping giant soldiers. But actually, they're already in there. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Please share this video. Once again, U.S. Special Forces landing in Mexico to train Marine infantry. El Paso, Texas, border report. Once again, a Mexican Senate Commission has approved the entry of members of the U.S. Army 7th Special Forces Group, Airborne, into the country starting this week. The Americans will come fully armed as part of a mission to train the Mexican Navy's Infantería de Marina, Marine infantry, on conventional and non-conventional types of combat. CBP officer led DRUGS, and many come across the border for money, feds say. Now, the training takes place from February 17th through March 30th at the Luis Carpizal Naval Facility in the state of Campeche, according to Senator Alejandro, president of the Mexican Senate Naval Ministry Commission. Now the sleeping giant are landing in a C-130 airplane in Campeche 2 days prior to the start of the training, Moreno said. Migrant shelters nearly empty at TX border. The commission unanimously approved the mission. So what I read there was just a title to another article. I totally apologize. So once again, the commission unanimously approved the mission without discussion or dissent on Tuesday. The vote came at the request of President Claudia, the senator said. The 7th Special Forces Group, whose motto is the Oppreso Libre, Free the Oppressed, has participated in peacekeeping operation in Panama, Peru, and Ecuador, and just been deployed to Afghan, also known as Green Berets. They participated in Operation Just Cause, which resulted in the January 1990 capture of the Panamanian, we'll skip that name, wanted in the Sleeping Giant on certain charges. I'm skipping certain words because, again, the platform is just so cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. The president of Mexico and Donald earlier this month reached a deal to postpone crushing 25% tariffs on Mexican export to the Sleeping Giant in exchange for Mexico stepping up its fight against the gangs flooding the Sleeping Giant with the deadly drug. Now, in return, the Sleeping Giant is supposed to step up its interdiction of firearms being illegally crossed into Mexico. That's the problem. That the reason why those gangs got those GUN, because it's coming from here. A lot of them is coming from here. So Mexico in the past has let the Sleeping Giant military advisor into its territory, but always on training missions, the Sleeping Giant security expert say. It is important to say the Green Beret role is going to be just that, training, says Scott, the Vice President of Intelligence for International Security consultant Torch Stone Global. It's not like they're sending in the SEALs, the Delta Force, or the Army Rangers. It's not like we are seeing the deployment of combat troops or combat aircraft. Well, again, it's just the tip of it. It's the beginning of what's to come. Remember, that's the reason why Donald labeled these gangs right here. Terror is... Alright. Mexican news media, however, earlier this month reported the presence of an alleged Sleeping Giant spy plane off the coast of Baja California and possibly Sinaloa. The Mexican gov denied any unauthorized air incursions. Stewart said the Mexican gov may have allowed the presence of such an airplane so it could pass on intelligence to its law enforcement agencies. It says here that may be an attempt to increase signals intelligence. That plane is a vacuum. It sucks up all communication. But I think it would be intelligence to pass to the Mexican Marines and not necessarily in preparation for a U.S. airstrike or something, Stewart said. Signals intelligence means decrypting and interpreting cell phones, radio, and radar signals that have been intercepted from an advisory. Mexico has traditionally been very guarded when it comes to letting in American troops ever since the U.S. took half of its territory in 1848. I was just doing some history on the again, Mexico and U.S. war. Back in 1800, Mexico was big. Mexico had California, they had Texas, they had all that type of stuff. But then it came to a point that I think it started in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. U.S. kind of took control of Texas, and they took it from Mexico. But then something happened. U.S. brought slavery into Texas. And then Mexico is like, it ain't going to happen here. and that's when certain battles started going between Mexico and the U.S. So, in other words, Mexico was not tolerating that slavery stuff, but they still lost the war. They still lost the war. But again, I could be a little off with the history stuff, but I think that's how it all started. It started with Texas. Then Texas was annexed by the U.S., and then there was war going on because of slavery, and it just, Mexico, they never had a chance. Put it like that. So U.S. took California, they took New Mexico, they took all that. All right, so once again, Mexico has traditionally been very guarded when it comes to letting in American troops ever since the U.S. took half of its territory in 1848, political experts say. That is unlikely to change, even with the warnings of tariff, if Mexico doesn't continue to slow the flow of this stuff coming into the U.S. Stewart agrees. Now, here's the thing, guys. Because what Mexico has allowed for so many years, Donald possibly, I'm not saying it's going to happen, this is just me thinking, Donald possibly is going to say, I'm taking your land, Mexico. You have allowed all this stuff to happen, and now we have this chance to go into your territory. Just like Greenland, just like Canada, just like Panama Canal. So it says here, I think this is most, and just like the Strip, GAZA, Donald is eyeing on multiple territories. It says, I think this is mostly designed to prompt the Mexican gov to do more, and at the same time, it looks like the sleeping giant are trying to help them by training them some more. I think there's more to it. Oh, I think there's more to this. Why will you train them? I mean, you should have trained them years ago. Years ago. I just feel like there's a lot more, guys. The truce on the Mexican tariff ends in March. All right, so we're going to see how all this plays out. But like I said, it's just too much going on here. I don't know. What do you guys think? Someone said this. So they're gonna train the Mexican, our special forces tactic in order to fight the gangs. How do we know they won't just share the specialties with the gangs? Someone responded. Too many negative comments. I can't show none of this here. But I do believe there's a lot more to it. There's definitely a lot more to it. Like, the question is, why we gave them so many GUNS? Why did we give those lands a lot of GUNS? And by the way, that was under Barack. But we are seeing it right now. We are definitely seeing this right now. It's just the tip of the iceberg. So again, the spy planes out there, they got a whole bunch of stuff out there. Give me a second. Let me show you something really quick here. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second. Somewhere here. I know I saved it. Here we go. See that? All them soldiers at the southern border. Oh, there's gonna be a lot more. there's gonna be a lot more. Just in, over 400 more Texas National Guards just took an oath to support the USBP and enforcement action. This come after Governor Greg Abbott directed the National Guard to coordinate with the Donald administration to secure the border. There are now thousands and thousands of soldiers deployed at the border, protecting our land from invasion or an imminent biblical war. I'm not too worried about the invasion because it's been going on for many years. I believe they're preparing for a big, hot biblical war. And that's the reason why on the first day, Donald executive order, he lists them gangs as terror. You know what it's. All right, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Please share the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, for those of you that want to send us letters or prayer requests, you can send it to me, US Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida, 34691. Once again, guys, $1 a month Patreon. We get you access to our live stream every Monday. We talk about things that we cannot talk about on the platform. Also, I posted videos today. Those links will be in the comments box. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Faith and trust in Jesus Christ, for He's the only way, the truth, and the life. No one gets to the Father except through Jesus. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time later. Peace.